Welcome once again to SoCo Chat, a podcast where we hear directly from county leaders, discuss the latest news, and talk about all things concerning our beautiful corner of California known as Sonoma County.
Welcome to SoCo Chat. I'm your host, Matt Brown, Deputy Communications Manager for the County of Sonoma. Thank you for joining us. One of the best features of Sonoma County is our sweeping, undeveloped open spaces and bucolic agricultural land. The rural charm of the county outside of our main cities is treasured by residents and visitors alike. But it didn't happen on accident. As much of the Bay Area was urbanizing in the 1980s, visionary conservationists in Sonoma County sought to protect the natural lands that are vital to our character. Thus, Sonoma County Ag and Open Space was born. Funded through a sales tax measure, the agency is tasked with conserving the spaces where we love to recreate and preserving the farms that produce our local food, all while increasing our quality of life. Ag and Open Space is also helping to create places within communities where people can gather, find solitude, connect with nature, or grow food. Here to talk about how Ag and Open Space works is Misti Arias, the General Manager. Misti, welcome to SoCo Chat. It's so good to have you on.
Thanks, Matt. It's really good to be here.
Yeah, well, it's been a long time. I'm really glad we could get you here.
Me too.
And, for our listeners who might not be familiar with your agency, tell us a little bit about Ag and Open Space, your history, and how do you work?
Yeah. Well, Ag and Open Space, we've been around since about 1990. We feel incredibly fortunate because we were created by the voters. And as you mentioned, born out of this movement of folks who really wanted to preserve the way of life in Sonoma County, natural and agricultural lands. And so we are fortunate enough to not only function as an organization, as a special district of the county, but to also have a quarter-cent sales tax that funds our work. And so think about it this way, every dollar spent in the county, we're getting a quarter of a penny, which doesn't seem like a lot, but it certainly adds up and really, really makes it possible for us to be able to do incredible work throughout the county.
And tell us a little bit about that work. What are you guys working on?
Yeah, so most of our work is through conservation, we say, right? And what that means to us is we record a document that we call a conservation easement over properties. It's permanent, runs with the land. And the goal of that document is to ensure protection of the values you mentioned earlier, agriculture, scenic landscapes, natural resources, parks and recreation. And that easement just conveys what landowners can and can't do with property to make sure it's conserved for future generations.
So conservation is really the core of your mission, really?
Absolutely, yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah.
And it's open spaces and also agricultural land.
Yes, both of those. Yeah, working lands, even forest land.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. And there's also been a few community projects, community park projects that you've brought to the board recently. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, that's a part of our work that's really near and dear to my heart. The folks who created our organization, they were really thoughtful in thinking about, typically our focus would be outside of incorporated areas where people live, but they also really wanted to bring open space and natural areas and components of our work into urban communities. And that program that we run is called the Community Spaces Matching Grant Program. And just this week, the Board of Supervisors approved Tierra de Rosas, which is a project in Roseland, which is a community plaza, which is associated with an affordable housing project. And we're just incredibly proud to be able to contribute these public resources towards projects that are within communities, especially areas that are maybe historically underserved as far as parkland goes. And in the last few months, we've had projects come together in Grayton. There's a Grayton Town Square. In Larkfield, there's a community park project that's almost open and available to the public in an area that was burned in the fire in 2017. We've been working with the city of Santa Rosa and Sonoma Water on restoration and public access projects along Colgan Creek in southwest Santa Rosa. And when I think about this work, I'm really proud to say that these funds have contributed to projects in every incorporated community in the city and many of the unincorporated communities too.
That's great. So a lot of these communities are unincorporated. They don't necessarily have, open spaces or park spaces,
Exactly.
and you're bringing that to them.
Yeah, and they don't maybe have parks departments. So what's been incredibly inspiring is community groups themselves have come together to form coalitions to build public spaces in their community, and it's really incredible to be able to support that work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tell us a little more how you achieve conservation. What does that mean, and how do you conserve? properties?
Yeah. Well, it happens in a multitude of ways. I mentioned the conservation easement. Most of the time, what that looks like is that we have willing sellers or interested landowners who want to conserve their properties, and we will work with them and we will identify rights that they're basically giving up forever. And we appraise those rights. And based on what the appraisal establishes a fair market value, we will pay them for the acquisition of the conservation easement. And then over time, forever, in perpetuity, we then have a relationship with the landowner, whether that be a private landowner or public agency. We even have easements with park partners. We do oversight to make sure that the terms of the easement are being met.
Yeah. Tell us a little more about these other programs that you've brought to the board recently. Can you say more about that?
Yeah, of course. We've been really trying to pay attention to the community since we are basically fulfilling their interests related to the expenditure plan voters voted on. And one of the things, couple things we've been hearing lately is that agricultural land is really unaffordable, and it's very hard for aspiring farmers to get into agriculture. And our agricultural community is aging. The average age of a farmer is over 60 years old. And we've also now we have hundreds of easements, honestly. And we have landowners who really are looking for ways to enhance their ability to manage and steward their lands. And so we've been developing programs that address those things.
Say more about the unaffordability of ag land these days, and how do you help an aspiring farmer get a foot in the door?
Yeah. Well, it's incredible. I mean, everybody knows that things are more expensive right now, right? Land is fundamental for a lot of the things that we do. And there are folks who want to get into agriculture, maybe even have an experience working on somebody else's property, but can't afford the values that are in Sonoma County. So we've developed a program that's designed after other programs across the country, where we will buy a property and we will put conservation easement over it, basically protecting the property, and then resell it to a farmer. And we have gotten a pool of interested farmers, qualified farmers for that, and we're currently looking for a site.
And tell me how that makes it more affordable then.
Yeah, I know it's a complicated situation. The easements, like I said a moment ago, we appraise the easements, right? And the easements do buy away rights. So maybe subdivision rights or development rights, those have value. And we're paying for those and buying them away. So basically the cost that the farmer has to pay is reduced by the value of the conservation easement.
And then some of these easements on the people's property, they have an easement on the property, and then you're helping them steward their land. Tell me about that.
Yeah, that's been an evolution for us. I mean, one of the really amazing things about our organization is we're conserving land without having to own and manage it. It's a lot more cost effective up front, and then it's a lot more cost effective to partner with somebody else who's actually responsible for operations, maintenance, and management of the land. But folks are striving to enhance their stewardship, but they don't have technical expertise or the finances necessary for that sometimes. And so we're in the process of creating a stewardship assistance program, and it's modeled after a program in Marin County that does the same thing for Marin Agricultural Land Trust. And it's in partnership with the local resource conservation districts, so Goldridge and Sonoma resource conservation districts, where we will provide small grants under $50,000 to landowners to help them enhance natural systems on their property, and also helps benefit agricultural production.
Do you have any examples of this stewardship program?
Yeah, like I mentioned, we're just getting started. The criteria are being developed in the process, but an idea or an example that comes to mind is one of the landowners that we have an easement over, the McClellan family. They worked, so there are other entities like federal and state agencies that provide these kinds of funds. So they worked with the Natural Resource Conservation Service and the local RCDs to do a carbon farm plan. And what the carbon farm plan does is look at how to enhance soil health, which is better for sequestering carbon, but also better for productivity for grassland. It also helps hold more water in the soil and helps when there's droughts or other conditions like that, and helps with other natural conditions on the land. And what that looks like on the ground is, applying compost to soil, planting hedgerows, and helping runoff into creeks. And they're seeing incredible benefits from a natural perspective, but also from an agricultural productivity perspective. And we're wanting to help replicate some of those situations.
So you're not just conserving the land, but helping protect it and improving the environment as well.
Yeah, helping landowners enhance some of the conservation values that we were seeking to conserve in the first place.
Yeah. Just as the people intended when they founded the ag and open space.
Yeah, that's what we're striving to do. Trying to do that to the best of our ability and increase the programs and tools that we're using for that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I read somewhere that you have reached 30 years of service. Is that true?
That is true, yes.
Wow.
Just this month, actually.
With Ag and Open Space?
With Ag and Open Space, yes.
So you've been around for a while with the organization.
Yes. I started at Ag and Open Space, you can do the math, but in 1996.
Okay.
And the funding kicked in 1991. So I was there within 5 years of the creation of the organization. And as of right now, our second sales tax measure expires in 2031. So through almost both of those 20-year measures.
Almost from the beginning. So you've done this for 30 years now.
Yeah.
What do you love about this job?
Yeah, I love that question. I think fundamentally what I love the most is the people. And when I say that, I mean the people I get to work with that have conviction towards this work and really are dedicated to helping ensure Sonoma County and our quality of life is similar to like it is today, that it gets carried on to the future, but also the landowners and the partners. And I just feel so fortunate to live and work in a community that's willing to tax themselves to conserve land. It's really unique. And then I would say the other thing I love is the land itself. Sonoma County is incredible, as we all know, right? It has such a diversity of habitat types and rural character and locally produced food and support for farmers and farming communities. So the people and the land, I would say, are the things I love the most.
Do you have a favorite open space or park or any place that you like to recreate in?
I feel like that's asking if I have a favorite kid, but
I know. That's a tough one.
I would say I can walk into the back end of Taylor Mountain. So from my neighborhood now, that's from some of the newer trails, I can walk in and it feels incredible to walk in this space and have it be this park that's enjoyed by so many people and know that we had a really important part in that and that we bought the property and transferred it to regional parks.
Yeah. That's great.
Yeah.
Well, Misti, is there anything else you wanted to let viewers know or listeners know about Ag and Open Space? I know your tax measure you said is coming up in 2031, and what else?
Yeah, maybe touched a little bit on. That we're created by the community. We're so fortunate to the community to have the opportunity to do this work, but there's, I think, a lot of work left to be done. And so we're really hoping that the community will continue to be generous and want to reauthorize our sales tax so that we can meet the multiple objectives of our organization. Like we have mentioned a couple of times, protecting agricultural lands, natural lands, community character, and scenic open space. And many of our projects do all of those things in one. Taylor Mountain's a beautiful example of that, right? It's recreation. It also has grazing. It is scenic. It's the whole backdrop to the city of Santa Rosa. So we have a lot of important work to do, and we're just really hoping we get to continue to do that.
Yeah.
Well, on behalf of the community, yeah.
Absolutely. And you do such great work out there and things that are tangible, people can see, and you can go to the places where you're conserving and eat the food from the farms that are being preserved. So that's great.
Yeah, we feel super fortunate. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for all the work you do in the community, and thanks for coming on SoCo Chat to talk about it.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah.
I love talking about this.
We'll have
work.
to have you back sometime, and we just barely touched on a lot of your programs. We'll have to come back and focus on one or two things in the future.
Yeah, we can dig into something more specific for sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, Misti, thanks again for joining us. We'd like to offer you a SoCo Chat coffee mug for being our guest today, and we hope you come back in the future. And to our listeners, if you have comments about this episode or a suggestion for a future SoCo Chat discussion, please shoot us an email at publicaffairs@sonomacounty.gov. Thank you all, and we hope you continue to follow SoCo Chat on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, and YouTube. See you next time. Thanks again, Misti.
Thanks, Matt.